guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. And we have a few new people on the channel, so I just wanted to put in a little intro saying if you are new, my name is Ash, and on this channel we discuss everything about the L word and the L word generation Q. I do also do a little bit of other things to do with like lesbian culture and movies and shows, and of course it's going to be even more L word going forward at the moment with the new season starting, but after that we'll be covering some other shows and things as well. And another thing that I just wanted to put at the start of this video was a huge congratulations to the cast and crew. And this will start to date this video, basically. I'm sure it's even dating it from when I filmed it, but currently the trailer sits at just over 1.3 million views. And we talked about this on my live on Friday, so if you want a bit more detail on it, I went on the Wayback Machine and compared it basically to the season 1 trailer after the same passage of time. And you know, when the season 1 trailer came out and it had been 5 days, it hadn't even hit 600,000 views. So basically it's doubled, and to get over 1.3 million and it hasn't even been a week since the trailer's been out, that's pretty impressive, especially for a Showtime show that the audience is a bit smaller. So big congratulations, and we are all really looking forward to seeing season 2, of course. But today we are here to discuss season 1. So we are on to episode 5, and that means we only have one more episode left to review in our re-reviews, as if you watch this one, you can go and watch episodes 6 and 7 straight afterwards, and I've linked them in a playlist below, and I'll put them in the cards above as well. And then I'll be back next week with the season finale, episode 8. So if you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe, as there's going to be a lot happening with season 2. And also don't forget to follow me on social media. Check out my merch store if you're looking for some cool stuff to wear when you're watching season 2. And also don't be afraid to like, share and comment on the video, as that all helps the channel out as well. So thank you to anyone who does that. So let's get straight into our episode today. It is episode 5 and the title is Labels. And anyone who's new, the way I normally go through the episode reviews, I go through each character because you guys don't need me to tell you what happened in the episode. I'm assuming most people who have found this review have watched the episode, especially by now. So I always start out with the new characters, your Generation Q, and then go through to our OGs. So I'm going to start out with Dani and Sophie, and their scenes are pretty much all together this episode. They each have one scene without the other, and the big subject this week for them is the prenup that Dani's dad sends them and doesn't really say anything about it. And this may be like a little bit controversial and stuff, but I do actually really side with Dani's dad on this, not the clause with the children birth thing. Like, I think that's really like fucked up that he did that and didn't tell them or anything like that. But judging on what we're led to believe about Dani's family, like the amount of money they have, and does also sound like Dani is the only child from her father. Like we haven't heard her talk about any siblings, and you know, she was in the very high position in the company. I feel like if there was a sibling, like we would have met them somehow, because we've spent quite a lot of time with her dad and like the company in the beginning. I've seen this quite a lot, especially people I went to school with, like their families are part of, you know, if you went to the grocery store, their names are on things in the grocery store or the pharmacy or things like that. So I know one friend of mine in particular like had this whirlwind romance and got married to someone, and within like a month, and they didn't have anything solid, and her dad had recently passed away, and she had inherited like if I said her name, you would really know this company. And it was a really substantial amount of money, and they ended up, getting divorced after I think like 2 years or something. And it was this whole big thing and an absolute nightmare. And I just think that as well, people going into a marriage, obviously you're hoping not to get divorced, but I really think it's different if it's family money. Like if you get married to someone and it's a situation like Bill Gates or someone where they make the money while they're married to you, like, oh yeah, then like there should be, division of assets and all that stuff. But I just think when it's not just the person getting married, it's like their whole family's company and legacy and all these things. But the clause that he put in was like a total asshole move, and I do not agree with that. But then obviously Dani didn't really approach it in the best way. I understand she was really angry, but maybe go and talk to your dad. She did go in and she was really angry and go in and shout at the dad in the middle of the company and stuff. And like, that's obviously not going to help the situation, but I understand her reacting in the moment. What you doing? Also, in the scene with Sophie and Dani and Sophie's sister, Maribel, she mentions in this scene, I think it's the only time she mentions it, that she is an immigration attorney. And I had someone send me like quite a good theory that mentioned this, and I just wanted to throw it in here before season 2 started. And it was Claire that sent this to me. So we know that Maribel is an immigration attorney, and we have seen those scenes with Micah and Maribel in the trailer. And then we know obviously Jose and Micah and the whole thing with Jose's marriage. So Claire was saying like maybe Jose's marriage is some sort of immigration thing, because I did mention that a while ago, and Maribel helping him could be like some sort of connection in season 2. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. So Micah in this episode, he and Jose moved their relationship a pretty bit far forward because Jose accidentally, I guess, like love bombs him in front of everyone. And then we see them have like a hookup scene, and Micah's saying, I'll try this once with you and see how it goes. And that just, is building even more ammo to how betrayed Micah's going to feel in the finale when he finds all this out about Jose, because it really seems like he's never been this serious with anyone before. And I really did laugh in his little, well, I used to be a lesbian before that. I thought it was really funny. Finley in this episode is really, really going through it. It's kind of the aftermath from the episode before. I mean, pretty much everyone is going through it in the beginning of the episode. Everyone is very hungover. And Tess comes in and like finds Finley like passed out in the back room of Dana's. And yeah, like this episode, I really enjoyed like the Finley and Tess dynamic too, and learning a little bit more about Tess and like her issues with alcohol. And then we had the Finley like calling her parents, and it just I feel really, really bad for Finley, because I do know a few people with situations like this with their family, and it's because of like a very conservative like religious upbringing, which seems the situation with Finley. And I didn't think about this until this watch through. Whenever Finley's dad picks up the phone and he's like rushing her off the phone, he says, "Oh, your mom's coming over," and it just makes me think like it seems as though the dad is the only one that is speaking to Finley, and then obviously her mum and her don't seem to be speaking, and then obviously the sister isn't talking to her because she didn't even know that she was engaged. I really do like Finley, and I think there's such great potential here for a really interesting storyline that we haven't seen on the L Word before. And I do like the Tess and Finley dynamic, and I would really like to know more about like Tess and her issues, and then like helping Finley along. Like, I like that she had the call from the sponsor and they were like, oh, you know, open your eyes, there's always someone that needs your help, and then literally opens the door and there's like Finley like passed out. So on to our OGs, and Shane in this episode, you know, is back with her wife Kiara pretty much, and Kiara also reveals to Shane that she's pregnant. So it's all a bit of a whirlwind. I loved when they were at Angie's play and Shane was like taking pictures and stuff and being like, lady, relax, and then Bette's face when Shane turns up with her wife and then she turns around and Alice is there with Gigi and Nat. It was just absolutely priceless, and Bette is just thinking, what is going on with these two? Like, it was really funny. And I really loved, just like briefly to talk about that they had Angie being like, you know, like one of the stage hand people, because television shows and stuff sometimes lean into this like stereotype that the main character's kid, or if the kid, you know, it's a teenage show or whatever, that they're always the star of this and like the best runner on the track team and the star of the play and head cheerleader and all this stuff. And I just thought it was really nice to just see something really normal like that, and that they didn't go to this Angie has to be like, you know, front and center for everything. So I thought that was a really interesting and like cool choice. I did also like the Shane and Tess dynamic here, where they were kind of starting, maybe not fresh, but Shane was saying, I will earn, you know, back your trust or our business relationship or whatever it may be. And then obviously when we see Tess like drinking and later and stuff, like it dampens it a little bit. But I think Tess and Shane, you know, we've heard from Kate and Jamie, and just even in the trailer and stuff too, we've seen that they're going to be having this, I think they said, unique and interesting relationship in season 2. So I think this is laying the groundwork for that. So onto my favorite part of the episode, which was Alice, Nat, and Gigi. And I just loved every second of this because it was just so funny as well, that when they wake up and it's like Nat and Alice and then Gigi's there and they're like obviously so hungover and the kids are coming in. And those 3 actresses, I always say this about Leisha, but I feel this way about Stephanie Allen and Safado Mwafi as well, that they're just so natural. Like you believe that it's them. And I know that's like the absolute goal of acting, and I don't know how else to explain what I mean, but I just feel as though there's such like a fine line between them and their characters. And Alice, when she's like having the full conversation when the kids are coming in and she's like eating the stale cake, like all of it is just brilliant. The writing for this and like the timing, everything, these scenes were amazing. They were my favorite part of the episode by far, and I just think that all of them play off each other so well. And Nat is just there with like the really dry humor, and I like the way they would have like 2 of them teaming up and then the other 2 would team up, and whenever they're like ordering the Thai food and stuff, just it's brilliant. Like I really wish that we were going to get more of the throuple, but I'm sure we'll have this dynamic in a different way in season 2, because obviously like Nat and Gigi are still co-parents. And then, I mean, as much as we know, Nat and Alice are going to be together for at least some of season 2. Maybe the whole thing. That's just a guess. We did also have the scene that I've been talking about for months now on my Bette and Gigi theory. Last review in episode 4, I was saying that there was a scene where Bette meets Gigi and they have this like lingering look, and this is where we get our first concrete evidence of Jabette. And when Alice and Shane are in Bette's office like doing the phone calls, and Alice is saying about the throuple, and then Bette's like, Nat's ex-wife, and Alice is like, I mean, have you seen her? And Bette is like, yeah, I have. And, well, we've all seen the trailer, haven't we?
Guys, there's another one. Okay, so when they get to Angie's play and Alice, Gigi, and Nat get there, Bette, like, swoops around Alice and doesn't say hi to Nat, isn't like, she's just like, hey to everyone else. And then she's like, hi, Gigi. And I mean, no one else gets such a big hello and smile. So is this another little tiny Gigi, Bette, Jabette Easter egg? You tell me.
I did also just think the throuple was super cute when they were at Angie's play too, and like holding hands and stuff, and some of like the theoretical situations that they were coming up with, like when Nat was talking about the gowns and stuff, and Gigi's like, why would I be wearing a gown? Like, it was just brilliant. I loved these scenes. And so on to Bette, and yeah, a bit of a struggle episode for Bette. I normally, when an episode isn't like very Bette centric, it's not like one of my favorites. But I think because I liked the Alice and Nat and Gigi scenes so much, like I wasn't really that bothered that this episode was kind of light on the Bette, because obviously like 6 and 7 are pretty heavy Bette episodes. So Bette and Felicity finally break up, if you can call it that, in this episode. And yeah, Bette's like harsh, but I think with a breakup like this too, like you have to be, otherwise it's just like, it just gets too, I mean, it's already super messy. And Felicity is like, I don't know, using Bette as like some sort of crutch, I feel like. And she's saying, oh, I've got my own apartment and stuff. And Bette really like calls her out about the marriage and stuff. So I do wish that they had ended this, or had this Bette and Felicity scene a little bit earlier in the season, because I never warmed to Felicity. I didn't like the character. I just didn't feel like there was that great a chemistry between them. So I feel like I would have been more inclined to be invested in their relationship, because I just wasn't invested like at all, because Felicity just really like took me out of the show a little bit. So personally, I'm glad to see her leaving, and I would have liked it a little bit earlier, but I understand why they went through the whole thing, and then they had to use this storyline to kind of strengthen that bond between Dani and Bette by having like the whole phone thing, and like Dani knowing about Felicity. So I totally see like it had to serve a purpose, but yeah, I just was never like a fan of Felicity. I really like the Bette and Angie scene at the beginning with Jordy in the car, because it totally reminds me of me with my brother. Like, I don't talk about this a lot on the channel, but as some of you guys know, my brother is like my son. Like, I have always looked after him and things, and he is about 2 years older than Angie. So yeah, we go through this sort of, he won't say things, but like text you though, like when he leaves, and I'm like, okay, why didn't you just say this to me 2 minutes ago? But yeah, we have a very similar relationship in the sense that like it's very, we can say anything. Is not like a typical, obviously, like parental thing, because even though like we are 15 years apart, it's, he can tell me anything, and he knows that, and it just reminds me a lot of like the way Bette and Angie are, which is nice, obviously. We do also have that Bette and Dani scene when they're both at the office late, and I know when this episode, I think it was when the trailer came out, a lot of people were really hoping for some Dani and Bette storyline, and just to me, I have just always thought that they were more like a mentor-mentee thing. And when the first season was airing, I really did think, oh, are they really going to put Dani and Bette together? And I know that there's some Danette shippers still out there, because there's definitely a couple of people who comment on my videos that want Bette and Dani together. I would be really surprised if they did that, because I think that Bette knows better now, you know, and I know that Dani is totally like gaga for Bette. I wouldn't be surprised if in the trailer that like voiceover that Dani does about wanting to be near her and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if that was about Bette. But I think maybe there'll come someday that Bette has to shoot her down. So we'll see, we'll see. So I've been thinking about adding some little things at the end of my videos, like favorite scene, favorite lines, things like that. And I might not do it every video, but this one I just had to say that my favorite scene was when Nat, Alice, and Gigi wake up in the morning and Alice is eating the cake and she and Gigi are having this conversation about like, Alice is like, oh, I have a pill splitter. And even before when Gigi's like, may I lock the door? Because she like doesn't want to piss Nat off at anything she does. So that was my favorite moment of the episode. Maybe I'll call it favorite moment, something like that. So I always want to hear what your guys' favorite moment of the episode was down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, as it really, really helps the channel out. And if you would like to share the video on Facebook, Reddit, or anything like that, it really helps the channel also. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I drop a lot of news and content over there. And also make sure to check out my merch store where you can get all your L Word needs covered for clothing, water bottles, phone cases. We got everything over there covered for the L Word and the L Word Generation Q. So we should start to see some interviews popping up soon and some early reviews of the show in a couple of weeks. And then we'll also start to get really short little teasers and other information drops, cast pictures, things like that. So make sure that you are subscribed, have your little alerts on by hitting the bell notification, and make sure again to follow me on all the social media platforms. And I will keep you guys up to date on everything for season 2. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.